Welcome to the Gentleman Project podcast. I'm Corey Moore.
And I'm Kirk Chugg. Today we are joined by what Corey and I consider to be a living legend, and by many of you, I'm sure the same. If you grew up in the time period that we did, we grew up with the movie called Rudy. Rudy was an instrumental movie for me because in high school, I had quite the exuberant personality, and I was about 5'5", 5'6" tall, and everybody kind of called me Rudy as I was playing football, and I always looked up to the guy who we all know as Rudy Ruettiger. And today we are privileged to have the real Rudy with us on the podcast. Rudy and I have known each other for a number of years. I've been privileged to make some clothes for him and rub shoulders with him at a couple of different things. We saw each other down in Las Vegas, which is where he lives, last month, and we invited him to be on the podcast, and he graciously accepted. So, Coach, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. That's all important for me to have two guys like you interview me. This is cool.
Well, you've been such an inspiration to so many people, Rudy. Maybe you could take us down memory lane and talk to us about, what made you who you are. What made you have the tenacity and the vision and the never give up attitude? Where did that originate? Where did that fire come from at the very beginning of your life?
I think we all get angry, don't we? Mad at what people say about you and how people profile you and how they profile the family. And see, I come from a large family, one of 14, and all of a sudden you're profiled by certain people. And whether it's a religious profile or a social profile or whatever profile, some people are so negative, they just want to make you feel bad. And I had enough of it, basically, through coaching, through teachers, through friends. It's called bullying. So we were bullied in different ways. So how do you set your mindset to the next level? That was the secret, I think. I had to find out who I was first. I started believing what they were saying about me and my family, because I'm one of 14. When you have a large family, people have a tendency to say certain things about your family that's not right. And even friends you thought who your friends would say things that hurt you. So that's anger. I had to channel that in a very positive way. And your faith had a lot to do with it. So those were the elements, faith and anger. How do you channel anger in a positive direction instead of the negative direction? Well, I learned that through a process. And the process is through how people basically make you feel good about the little things that you do instead of the things that you can't do. The teacher's education was probably the worst lonely situation I could ever have. It hurt because I had dyslexia, and I didn't know I had dyslexia. People and teachers would make you feel like you're not part of the kids or you're not part of the class because you're uncoachable, untrainable, and they call you today. They call it ADH, attention deficit disorder. And they call other names, but what it really is just a mindset. And then doctors give you drugs, all the stupid things when it's only a mindset, and it's only a feel-good feeling. You have to feel good about yourself. And that's the journey we all go through right there. Has nothing to do with how big you are, how good looking you are. All it has to do with what's between your ears. And you had to change that. It's not a religious thing. It's a faith thing. You believe there is a God and you're not him. There is a God and it's not them. And once you understand that, you start looking at yourself differently. The religions have a tendency to make you feel guilty. The schools make you feel like you're not smart enough. The sports make you feel you're not good enough. So you deal with all that, and how do you transition to something? Say, hey, I don't need any of this other than believe in myself. Well, how do you do that? it's like I said, you go through this process of life, and the process of life is some hard knocks. I found out in the Navy that my mother's discipline helped me become who I am. My dad's structure of ethic, hard work does pay off. So that combination paid off in the United States Navy. When I entered the Navy, instead of getting drafted, I joined. And the first thing you do is you folded your issue that they gave you. That's socks, underwear, shorts, pants, whatever they all knew. I never had anything new. So I had gratitude at that point. That point in my life with gratitude, I've never had anything new. This was awesome. And I felt so excited about having my own stuff. Then I folded it with pride, just like my mother would show us and do, because we had certain chores at home and duties at home. And I would always help with the laundry because you had to. That was because I was one of the oldest. So I had to learn from my mother that the little things do count. Take care of your home, take care of your bedroom, take care of yourself. Okay, you have a clean home, not a messy home, and you feel better. Those little things I thought were stupid, but man, were they big in my life, because I became a leader in boot camp because I put all that into action, and I became a leader in boot camp because I knew how to fold underwear the right way, make bed the right way, and all those little things. That guy noticed I had character and pride, and he made me the leader. So people don't care. The point is, people don't care what you know. People want to know how much you care and can I trust you? And that's what came out of the United States Navy. My whole mindset changed at that point. I'm not going to let anyone tell me who I am, what I can do, as long as I had character, as long as I had great intentions, as long as I had goals that I could achieve, not what they can achieve, but what I can achieve. I can become whatever I want to become. And that was the difference. I used that model through my whole life. Academically, it changed because I learned to get around what I call people who help me learn, not people who put me down. Today, we call it masterminds. We call about people who want, like in business. So masterminds are very, because they want to see you achieve and they want to help you achieve. Not people, you don't get involved with people who keep their success secret. You get around people who are, hey, here's what we need to do to become successful. Here's what you need to do to create a culture. It's awesome. So that all came from the process of the journey. And you got to do a lot of different things, in my mind, to learn that. So life lessons are very important, were very important for me. There's no book going to tell you how to become the person you want to be. You could listen to tapes, and what I like is music and movies. Music and movies stimulate me, especially if it's the right movie and the right concept of what they're trying to deliver to you.
Your movie, Rudy, is considered the #1 best sports movie of all time.
Well,
in my opinion, it is.
Well, it came from Rocky, the movie. All right. The movie Rocky inspired me to do Rudy because of the message of what he was delivering through boxing in his journey. That's 97% of us given a second chance and be able to have that work ethic to deliver what you want and prepare yourself for that moment that you feel you could never have, that someone's going to give you. And when you get that moment, you're ready. And most of us quit along the way because we don't think that moment is real. What's your moment? My moment was contribution. My moment, all I wanted to do was contribute, be part of something great. I didn't have to be great. I didn't have to be the best. It's not going to happen, but I can be part of something great. That's what made sense to me, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
You're sitting here listening to Rudy talk about the movie, and I've heard the story, but I think that the story behind the movie and how the movie got made and the tenacity that it took on your part to have the movie made is almost as good as the movie. It probably is.
because there's two mountains you had to climb. And the mountains you climb was an unknown mountain. You don't know the territory, you just climb it. You don't have a map. It's like the settlers coming over here and you look at the desert. How'd they do that? They had no maps. They just went and they found their way. And a lot of them have, suffered, and some died, some kept going. The strong survived. And that's how I looked at the movie. I'm going to survive. I'm going to go out in that territory. I'm going to find out how to create a movie like Rocky. I mean, that is a bold move, by the way. And by the way, being bold is probably a big payday. Boldness does pay off in a way. And sometimes when you're bold, sometimes you tell the truth when you're bold. You're rubbing people the wrong way when you tell the truth, because they're not truthful to begin with. They're what you call people who got there because of politics, people who got there because of relationships, people got there who doesn't understand what this journey's about. So they block you from being who you want to be. So you have to learn to get away from that and go around that, go through that. That was the journey of Hollywood. And then you had Notre Dame, same thing. You had people thinking this way, they're the elite. What do you mean you're the elite? What do you mean you're special? We're entitled. No, who's entitled? So you deal with that attitude. Like only special kids go here, great kids go here, great athletes go here. Not true, not true, and not true. A handful of great kids go there. The rest got mom and dad's got second and third mortgages to get them there, and kids are working hard to get there. But you never talk about them. You talk about that little handful of people that you want to be part of, that you're never going to be part of, that you want to live through. That's the challenge. I'm not going to live through that handful of people. I'm going to live through the real people, the common people who fight and, who made this country great with dreams and built businesses with goals and are honest and what they say they mean. You still go through that. What you tell me, I believe you, then you disappoint me. And that's called trust. But you get hurt through trust sometimes by not verifying who these people are. So you got to learn to trust and verify. All these things you learn through lessons. That means you're getting pounded into the dirt. You got to have guts and the courage to get back up and find out the right answer. And that was the journey of Notre Dame and Hollywood. Bringing those two brands together was, to me, most people say an impossible. But I said, well, wait a minute. If they made Rocky, they could make Rudy. That was my mindset. If they did a movie like Rocky, they can do a movie like, I was not any good. You're right. I was not the smartest, not the biggest. You're right. But I had to earn my way through Notre Dame, through the junior college. I earned my way. I didn't get there because of my sports, because of my athletic skills. I got there because I went to work. I packed my lunch and went to work like I was taught when I was working in the factories. Pack your lunch, go to work. With dignity and honor. And so I would pack my lunch and go to school, if that makes sense.
So tell us a little more. I didn't know about the Navy. So when did the Navy happen? Was that pre or post Notre Dame?
Pre. It was during the Vietnam crisis, and I didn't want to get drafted. So I made a choice to control where I was going. So I joined the Navy after I went to high school, went to work, then I joined the Navy. While you leave to go to the military, you'll get promoted at the same time because you're in a union, right? So you come back to a better job, a better position, and now you're faced with a dream that you now have that you feel you should have, but your challenge is, should I give this good future up to go after something that's unknown? That's the risk and reward. And so I went after the risk. Because of a friend that passed, that took a shortcut in his life, that died on my job, taught me a very important lesson. Life is short. Life can end. Don't live in regret. That was my choice. I'm not going to live in regret. I'm moving on. And nothing's guaranteed. You just got to do it now. And that's kind of like where my mindset went.
I love your mindset, Rudy. Just the way that you speak, the way that you talk about tackling life and kind of overcoming the challenges that are all placed before us. As we talk about parenting and fatherhood and building values in the next generation, the lessons that are learned from movies and stories like Rudy are, I think, really important for our kids to understand the importance of grit and determination. So that's why my kids have watched Rudy, and why I think it's a multi-generational sports film and a multi-generational story, because it illustrates so well the importance of never giving up and always moving forward. So I think anybody listening to you today is obviously aware that the movie, while some Hollywood interpretations take place in a movie, your grit, determination, and attitude are 100% spot on in that movie.
Well, I'm glad you said that. The interpretation, very important word there. The interpretation of the journey, which meant you got to keep the spirit of the truth. Now, the spirit of the truth is more important than what really happened. Because in a movie, you can't show what really happened because you don't have time. You don't have time to build the relationships. You don't have time. So you have to use composites and embellishments to make that movie move on and move forward. So a movie is a lot different than a documentary. So when you do a documentary, you can tell more and tell the reality of it, which we did a documentary called Rudy Ruettiger, The Walk-On. You can see that on Amazon Prime. But my whole point is, when you do a movie, your purpose is to stimulate that mindset that will inspire. People who watch that movie that get inspired will not ask, did that happen? They don't want to know. They don't care whether it happened or not. They got inspired. And that's what's important. I get that mix of people, by the way. You get the antagonizer, you get the wannabes, you get the inspirational ones, you get the ones who want to be inspired, but you get that guy who just won't accept inspiration. He just won't accept it. He wants to know, how did that really happen? Really, who cares? You get inspired. I mean, did you move towards your goal, or are you worried about what I did? See, now you're comparing. You're probably wondering why you're sitting there doing nothing, and Rudy did this, and Rudy's not as good looking at me as me, or not as smart as me, but look what he did, and I didn't do it. So you have a pity party every day, and I'm 74. I still get people who will question you. And I get people who are inspired. I get people who come up to you and start crying. It's not about what I look like. It's how you move them. The late Kobe Bryant says it best. Look at Kobe Bryant, USC/Rudy, and you'll hear what he said. The movie inspired him to be the person he is in the NBA. The movie is what inspired him. Simple message he got out of it. Work ethic and get better each day. That's it. Work ethic and get better each day. Now, that's what the movie illustrated to him. Had nothing to do with whether I made the tackle, but the work ethic paid off to him. And getting better. That's what he got out of it. I got out of Rocky. Second chance, work hard. Your chance will come. When your moment comes, you're going to be ready. That's what happened at Notre Dame. I went to practice every day like I was going to play. But the reality is you're not going to play. The reality is you're not going to dress. But I kept that dream in my mind, and people who you build a relationship with will help you get there. That's what you can't get there by yourself. You get there through other people that help you get there. And that's what some people don't understand either. So you have to have relationships. You don't have just a certain amount of people. I had a janitor. I had one guy two guys who went in and made it happen. I didn't need the whole team because it didn't matter. The whole team some of them were so entitled that they thought I was a joke. It's not a joke, packing your lunch, going to work. It's a joke that you're here making fun of me because you're not working hard. That's the joke, and my whole point is you deal with that mindset. You have to departmentalize your mind and move on to where you really want. So that's kind of my mindset, why I speak to people, and certain people, they want the fancy speaker. They want the intelligent speaker. Well, you're not getting any of that from me.
Coach, I'm always inspired when I hear you speak. So
you're not going to get that regurgitation of a book you read or of a story you heard. You're going to get the reality of the fact.
Well, maybe the millionth time you've heard this, Rudy, but I will just take this opportunity to thank you. Thanks for your tenacity in Hollywood, and thanks for making that movie, because certainly has inspired me, my kids, and so many other people I know. So I'll take the opportunity that I might not get it in to say thank you for doing that. Thank you for being who you are and inspiring generations.
And thank you, Corey, for being who you are. I think that's important as well, because you're the guys that inspire me, knowing I need guys like you as well to keep me going. So we all need each other is my point. You have accomplished big goals. Wow, man, that's awesome. But look at the fundamental basic characteristics that man has. I can go right down the line. And that's why he's a success. Not that it was easy. You're going to have your challenges, and you're going to have certain moments where you got to make it, what's the best decision for the team, not me. What's the best decision for the company, not me. That's a selfless attitude, and I can feel that in you. And all I'm saying is, when we become selfless, we become great people. And that's kind of, you don't have to be rich to be great, by the way. I know a lot of rich people who just don't want to share. I went to the grocery store the other day. I get in my car, I see a homeless woman, and I knew she was everything you see what's going on. Not she was a bad person. So I just bought some chicken, pre-cooked chicken. So I said, honey, you need something to eat? That's all I can offer you right now. She said, yes. So I give her my chicken I just bought. And it's almost like the world has changed right in front of her. Then I go to Starbucks, and I order a coffee and a pumpkin bread. I get up to pay for it, and the lady said, somebody already paid for you. I said, wow. So there are people out there that are just doing good gestures. And that's awesome. So when people say we have a good world. We have good people here. We have a great country. It's that handful of people they pick on to make us look bad. It's terrible, but that's the way it is. I can go on and on, but we're not going to get into that. But my whole point is, like I told my son the other day, it's not your coach that's stopping you from being who you are. It's you. Your coach cannot stop you from practicing hard. Your coach cannot stop you from being the person you want to be. He can stop you from playing, but he can't stop you from you. So when you become you, when you get your shot, guess who's going to shine? You, not the coach. Don't blame the coach or the teacher. Blame you. How hard are you working? What are you doing to become better? What are you doing to learn more? That's the key. It's like my son. Like, he goes to Arizona State, plays hockey. He's a sophomore. I said, Danny, you need to get a job while you're at school, because Daddy's not going to pay for all your schooling. Okay, Dad. So you go get a job. So he did. So he got a construction job during the summer there, learning how to be an electrician, right? So he goes to this resort, and this is what you're faced with. And he learns fast through skills. I'm saying to myself, what are we doing in our schools? How come we're not teaching this? Our kids can walk out and get a good job if they have a skill set. Today, they got to go to Starbucks to get a job with a sociology degree, with a psychology degree. They don't have anywhere to go. They have no skills. We got to create skills. So you create people who are doing these skill set schools, and you kind of become partners with them, and you help develop that. That's life. That's when you have an open mind. But you learn through your children, and you learn through, wait a minute, how come I'm not part of this skill set when I know that's the right thing to do? So I connect the dots. This is a true story that I love telling. I'm in Idaho, Twin Falls, Idaho, giving a speech. And the guy I'm giving a speech for is really cool. He has 120 acres. He's land rich. I said, what's your real dream? Because he does a lot for the community. So I want to build a school. He said, I got 100 acres. I don't know what to do. I said, show me your acres, man. So he showed me. He says, look, I got 8 baseball fields here. I come in and do these softball tournaments for girls, and they're sold out. I have this RV park here. They come and plant their RV, and I have a concert area where they bring country music, but I don't know what to do with my 100 acres. Ding, the bell went off. I said, I know exactly what you're going to do. You're going to build a campus. You're going to build a charter school with a skill from K through 12, because I just saw this set up in Phoenix of a group who does that. I said, oh my God. But not maybe because if they do it, they don't want to become part of you. That doesn't say you can't do it, right? So it's okay. You go to them first, but they don't really engage in you, which is fine. So you go somewhere else to find the right people who connect with you, put that together. And that's how you put a movie together. You find people who you can be around and deal with, who want to help you. Don't help the selfish people. It's the selfless that get it. And that's the key, because the idea are right there in front of you. And that's what happens, by the way, because there's a lot of people out there with a lot of money that just don't know what to do with. They come to Vegas and spend it on stupid things, right? I mean, I see it all the time. It's crazy. I mean, they're in there just blowing their money because they don't know what to do with it. Just think, if we had something good to do. We saw an example in the NFL when that young boy got hurt, DeMar from the Buffalo Bills, when they resuscitated him right in front of our eyes on national TV. That saved his life because everybody knew their job. If they didn't know their job and hesitated 1 second, that kid would not be alive today. But those people knew their job, they trained for their job, they prepared for their job, and knew exactly what to do. That's what we don't do. We don't prepare for an opportunity that we never know is going to happen. And that's why preparation is so important for whatever we do. And then this kid, he's living today, he's surviving today. It just added inspiration, and it showed. And then people gave over $5 million he was going to give toys to kids. He had $2,500. Now he has over $5 million. I mean, that's why we're a great country, because there are givers out there, and probably the people who gave probably didn't have it to give, but gave because they felt. But the rich guy didn't do it. Where's the rich guy at? Where's the wealthy guy? Because his nose is stuck up in the air. This is me speaking now. He don't have time to deal with you because you're not part of his culture. That's okay. Hollywood had that attitude with me, and so did Notre Dame. But we beat them both. We had to found the right guy to do the right thing that made the right thing happen. A hotel manager and a mail carrier made Rudy happen. No big shot.
So, Coach, you gotta expound on that a little bit, because I know the story, but I don't think a lot of our listeners do. So, give us the abbreviated version of the mail carrier story.
And we're all trying to go to the big shot, who we think are going to make it happen. They don't care about you because they got other things to do. They got their projects. You're not going to bother them about your little dream about a football movie or a movie about a guy who made a tackle. They don't want to hear that. They got their Chariots of Fire, or they got their Sleepless in Seattle. They got Look Who's Talking Now. They got Last Action Hero. They don't need Rudy, right? That's the mentality you're dealing with now. But 97% of America are Rudies, because they all have dreams and goals, and they're put down and they're just stuck. They're stuck. But the key is they know people. You never know who they know. You never know how they treat people. You never know what people that are in that situation would like them. Anyhow, the hotel manager was a gentleman I knew. I always communicated with at Notre Dame. And my final meeting at Notre Dame was probably a minute long. And the gentleman, the PR person, comes in of Notre Dame and says a very profound statement. We love Rudy, but we've been telling Rudy for 9 years we're not interested in a movie. Meeting's over. And he walks out. And you sit there and say, wow, that was arrogant. Now, that was not good. But actually, it was the best thing that ever happened. Because what he was really saying, you were allowing other people to take control of your dream, Rudy, and it's not working. You have to take control. And that's the message I got out of it. So I walked out and said, I need to take control. Let go, let God. That's where the spirituality comes in. Angels show up. It's not a religious thing. And all of a sudden, the hotel manager said, wow, Rudy, I saw the guy leave. He wasn't there long. And I said, I think I played longer. you know. And he said, wow, I have a friend you need to talk to, but first you need to talk to my brother who wants to talk to you. I said, great. I didn't ask what he did. I just liked the guy. I trusted the guy. He says, just tell my brother your story. And I did. And he said, wow, that's a movie. He comes to South Bend from Bloomington, Indiana, sat in front of me, and I told him my movie idea. He said, that is a movie. I said, and so I said, well, why? I mean, I've been told no. He said, no, it's a movie, Rudy. Trust me. He said, the guys who put Hoosiers together, I know very well because I was part of that team. I said, wow, you never know who knows someone. Now, I've been out to Hollywood for how many years trying to find that guy? He was right there, right? Managing a hotel, right? So he asked me, would you go out to Santa Monica, California? This is his brother. If I set up a meeting for you to talk to the writer of Hoosiers, of course I would. Why wouldn't I? So I got so excited. I go to my boss at the time, and he knew my issues, and he kept being nice to me. So he did me a big favor in that moment, which I didn't think was a favor. He fired me on the spot. This is such a stupid request, a stupid idea. Why did I do this? I walked out of his office not having a job, but I got to go out to California now. I don't have a choice. So I fly out to California with hope that I could talk to this writer of Hoosiers. There's no guarantee. So you go out to California, you call up a friend that you have a relationship with, take you to the restaurant where he's going to meet you, but he doesn't show up for the meeting, the writer. What do? You say to yourself, what a dumb idea this is. I should have listened. Why did I go into my boss and get fired? I have to pay my mortgage. I have to, take care of I can't now because I don't have a job. I didn't think that way. That's what most people will go to. They go to their past instead of the present. The present is now. You can do something about the present. So you say, okay, I sold insurance for a reason. They taught me about what to do with a no-show. They taught me how to ask questions and listen. I got to put that in order now. I'm going to go find that guy who stood me up. You don't ask how, you just move. And when you do that, what happens angels show up again. So there's a mail carrier that was passing mail. God wink is this. He's smiling. And he has gratitude. And all you do with that guy is thank him for his smile. And he looks right at you. He said, where are you from? I said, Indiana. He said, I'm from Michigan. So we had an instant relationship at that moment because Michigan, Indiana. And he said, wow, no one's ever thanked me for my smile. I said, no, dude, I needed that. I really did. He said, wow, why are you out here? And he told me why. I told him why I was out there, and he told me his story. He said, that guy you've been talking about, and that story you just told me, you need to speak to that guy. I said, I don't know where he lives. He says, I do. I know right where he lives. I pass his mail out every day. Angelo Pizzo. I said, oh, dude, really? He says, yeah, follow me. I said, are you sure? He said, don't worry about it. Just follow me. And he took me right to his house. I knocked on his door, and that's how I met Angelo. Now, Angelo was not receptive at the time I knocked on his door. Trust me. You're going to have more challenges. Because what he does is apologize for not showing up. And all you do is listen. You don't react. That's okay. Attitude. He says, besides, Rudy, I'm going to change genres out here. Don't react. Listen. And I hate Notre Dame. Don't react. Listen. I'm not going to write another sports movie. Don't react. Just listen. I don't know. I'm being very controlled. I said, no problem. He said, but we should go to lunch at least. I come all the way out here. He says, but don't talk about your movie idea. Says, I won't. And all I did was ask him questions about himself, which in turn developed a relationship, which in turn he liked me. That's it. So I go back to South Bend without a job and found a menial job, shoveling snow and cutting grass. I got ridiculed, put down by certain people. What am I doing? You're chasing stupid dreams. But God puts a dream in you, a feeling in you. You fight for it. And I kept fighting. I kept dreaming as I was cutting grass, and I was shoveling snow. I saw the movie, and one day I get a call 2 years later from Angelo. I've just been commissioned to write your story. How does that happen? Well, it happens through boldness. Remember, when you're bold, great things happen, but you can't put a time limit on it. Let go, let God. It happens in God's time. That's how this happened. What happened was because I was bold going out to find Angelo and met Angelo. Angelo's approached by a producer at Columbia Studios. Do you have a sports movie? Of course he does. But he didn't know he hated Notre Dame. The guy said, I'll pay you this much money for a sports movie. And of course he needed a job. So he took it. He said, it's a kid about Notre Dame that did it for his father and brothers and played football. He said, write it. I love the feeling of it. So he wrote it, and it got approved to go to production. I mean, first time it got approved. The guy who approved the screenplay was the president of Columbia Pictures, who went to Michigan State, who applied at Notre Dame, got turned down, who was a walk-on at Michigan State, who read the script and loved it and greenlighted it. Said, let's go. But I don't tell him that the letter I had to sign was I cannot come back to Notre Dame and talk about this movie, or they will bar me from this university, because I've been a pest. I've been bugging them the wrong way. So I stayed away. Now I have $25 million in a major studio, but I have to tell the major studio, we don't have permission from Notre Dame yet. And then this is what they say. Well, you got 48 hours. Well, within that 48 hours, Frank Price got fired, the guy who approved the movie, which means the whole project he ever approved goes in turnaround. They are dead. Your movie's dead. You don't have a movie anymore. It's over at Columbia Pictures. The producer who believed in the movie says, don't give up on this, Rudy. I'm going to you send Angelo and David out to you, then you can come back to California. We'll get this movie done. Let's get Notre Dame on board and we'll get this movie done. That's positive thinking. And that's exactly what happened. Got the movie approved by Notre Dame. It was a God moment. That's all I'm saying. Don't ask me about the meeting. It just happened with the right person. And we got to California and get TriStar Pictures to produce it and take charge of it. And that was the magic. That's why Rudy happened. How did it happen? Through boldness, through people who cared, through people who got the message, at new people to get to people, and by other people who was looking for a story of the underdog. You just don't know. My point is, let go, let God, it will happen, but don't give up on the feeling, put the energy out there. It's like anything. I mean, look, I have big goals and big dreams now, and I get turned down all the time because I'm talking to the wrong people. That doesn't mean I give up. Some way, somehow, the right person's come in my life, and they will connect and do it. Whether I'm still alive or whether I die, it doesn't matter as long as it gets done. That's the key. So that's my story.
I could listen to you talk all day, Coach. The thing that I've been taking notes. I've been taking notes as you've been talking, and I learned something from you today, and that is surround yourself with people that want you to win.
Right.
And you never know who knows somebody else. Act with boldness. You have truly enriched my thinking today, and I'm sure inspired many other people who are listening to the podcast. You're a national treasure, Coach. Well,
here's the key too, and I'm gonna go back to this. This is interesting. I was at Notre Dame about 6 months ago, and I was giving a speech there, and there was a mother, a son there in the restaurant, and you could see they were not doing well. She wasn't. The kid was just sitting there looking at her, right? And I noticed he had a Notre Dame boxing hat on, and I boxed at Notre Dame. So I kind of wandered over and said, "Hey, are you guys all right, man?" Because she looked stressed, like really stressed. Says, "Yeah, not really." I said, "Did you box at Notre Dame, son?" He said, "I sure did," but she says, "Not anymore. He's just been released from Notre Dame." I said, "Oh, can I eat here?" He said, "Yeah. Well, we've been talking about how he's going to tell his dad how he just flunked out of Notre Dame." I said, "What happened, Tommy? Is that your name, Tommy?" He said, "Yeah." He gave me his name. I said, "Wow. So do you want to go back to Notre Dame, or is this kind of it?" He said, "No, I want to go back. It was this COVID thing that hit me, and they locked me in a room for 18 weeks, and I went nuts. I didn't want to study. I said, "Really?" They said, "And did you tell your counselors that?" "No, not yet." I said, "Look, now you have a plan. If you want to go back to Notre Dame, you can't do what they've just done. That means you got to go fix it. Now, what you need to do is go back to Notre Dame. Don't ask them what you did wrong. Ask them what you have to do to get back in. That's it. That's it. You don't ask them the other one. And don't go where, you're 88. Forget that. Go ask them what you need to do to get back in." And his mother said he had perfect SATs. And he was captain of his hockey team. He was valedictorian of his school. It doesn't matter. He's got to find out what he has to do now, not what he was, what he has to become now. And what do we need to do? I said, he needs to go back and find out. I could help him. Where do you all live? She says, Long Island, New York. I said, "Oh, wow." I said, "Wow, what a perfect deal this is." I have a friend at Long Island, New York, lake director, and maybe Tommy could take a couple courses at Long Island University, and he could do some internship with my friend to, because he needs, to get back into the swing of the collegiate thing. She says, you could do that? I said, yep. Only if you go back, find out what you have to do to get back in. And Tom says, I'll do that. But you have to come to my speech. So they came to my speech. And I said, what'd you get out of my speech? And he said, oh, wow. He said, I need to make my bed every day. I said, if you make your bed every day, you'll be fine. Well, he goes back to Long Island. He has not missed a day of making his bed. And he's now back at Notre Dame because he went and took the courses, did well, and worked for mine. But my whole point was God puts you in situations sometimes. You have to be aware to help someone. It's like that. You just tell them what to do and they'll do it. But they have to be inspired. Once they found out who you were, then you could do that. That's the gift that was given to me. So that's why I do what I do.
That's a great story right there.
No, it's great because, here's a kid, perfect student, great athlete. Now he's back at Notre Dame. Change his friends. Tommy, you need to change your friends too, bro. You're hanging around the wrong dudes. He says, you're right. Get around the people that what you want to become. I call my time at Notre Dame, today they call it a mastermind. I went and created some friends, girls and guys, who I went to help me with my studies because I couldn't do it alone. I had a girl that took good notes. I had a friend that interpreted the notes because I couldn't do that because if I took notes, I would miss half the stuff the professor was saying. So I needed for her to have good notes and you to interpret them so I could learn what the heck he was saying. That was the mastermind. He said, wow, that's how I passed at Notre Dame.
Well, thanks so much for your time, Rudy. We've really enjoyed it. We're honored to have you on. We end the podcast. Unfortunately, we're out of time already. We end the podcast and asking everyone a similar question. And that question is, what does it mean to you to be a gentleman?
To be honest, sincere, and selfless.
That's a good answer.
It covers a lot of bases. Doesn't it?
You bet. You guys are awesome. All right, my brother. You guys have a good one. God bless
Rudy,
you.
thank you so much for being with us. We really appreciate it.
Rudy, thank you so much for being with us today. That was such a cool conversation to have, and I'm sure one that a lot of people appreciate, kind of being a fly on the wall to learn something about one of their heroes. So thank you for joining us today.
Yes, thanks, Rudy, and one of my all-time favorite movies for sure. If you enjoyed the podcast today, please share it with someone that you love. I think also share the movie. If your kids or your friends haven't seen Rudy, it's one of the all-time best inspirational stories out there. Thanks so much, and have a wonderful day.